Hi everybody, Emma Murphy here, disordered eating specialist, psychotherapist and trainer in the area of emotional eating and binge eating disorder. And this series of videos is designed to help qualified health professionals who want some more tools and resources to be able to effectively support clients who disclose emotional eating and binge eating disorder. Now I'm going to be using a couple of props while I go through these videos. The 4 Energies of Emotional Eating card deck is a card deck I developed out of our Eating Freely program. So they're very helpful if you do ever want to get those for yourself. But actually what you can do is download the free ebook, which is available in the description below. And in the book, you will find every card and the descriptor on the back of the card, and then a deeper meaning, and then you'll find reflective questions and actions that you can share with your clients. So that is completely free for all practitioners who are watching these videos. Please feel free to just download it from the link below. So without any further ado, let's get started on today's lesson. Okay, so today what we're talking about is clients and their relationship or the importance they attach to routine. And really there are 2 sides to this with clients who regularly emotion eat or binge eat. In a lot of cases, you will find that clients have a high need for routine and a high need for control. So you'll find that their lives are very carefully scheduled and timetabled, and they go to work every day, and then they go to the gym 3 times a week, and then they call into their parents once a week, and they have a date night with their partner every Saturday night, and they meet their friends every Tuesday or every fortnight, or and every single minute of the day seems to be scheduled. And what you will find with these clients is that, of course, when they emotion eat or binge eat, it's because they've been thrown out of their routine. They will often tell you that they are feeling bored, and boredom is a very interesting word for a lot of our clients, because often it's a catch-all word for other emotions, but they don't really know how to identify those emotions or name them or understand why they're feeling them. So that can be a whole other area of exploration in and of itself. What does the word bored actually mean? But you will often hear clients saying, I hate being out of my routine. Or of course, when they're out of their routine, that's when they're at high risk of emotion eating or binge eating out of, as they would see it, boredom. But it can also be that numbing out or that avoidance exercise. So, the fear of any feelings coming up, or, thoughts coming into their mind. Or if something does come into their mind, they start feeling a feeling, they immediately turn to food as a way to dampen that down, reduce the cortisol, increase their dopamine, and temporarily give themselves relief, or to, as I say, avoid or numb out from feeling that feeling. So there's a very important function of routine and control for our clients, which is they feel that having every minute scheduled will allow them to avoid emotion eating or binge eating. Now, there is another side to routine as well, which is about people being out of their routine, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But just in terms of the card, you can see what it says there. Clients are very routine, susceptible to eating in response to being out of their routine or being bored. And of course, what we try and do with clients is help them being more open to new experiences and trying new things. So it's the alternative to waiting for the weekend to end, just kind of waiting for the out of routine time to pass so that they're back in the routine. And what we really want them to do is to work on allowing themselves to be a little bit more spontaneous and to maybe cope with the feelings or the challenges that being more spontaneous can bring to them, or being out of their comfort zone or doing something new. And of course, working on being more flexible in terms of being more spontaneous and allowing more fun things to happen. Because of course, when you're highly routined, it can mean that you're really cutting down on opportunities for spontaneous joy, laughter, freedom, happiness, and fun. So there's a lot to unpack in this. So let's have a look and go a little deeper now. So if we're looking at the deeper explanation of how to explore this with the client, again, remembering in your book, you're going to have the what does it mean section. And really what I'm talking about here is clients having a high need for control, tend to have everything scheduled so there's no downtime, because of course they're afraid of what might come into their mind, what they might be thinking of, or what they might actually feel. You'll often find that clients will use the word bored. I'm bored. And I have found over many years of working with these clients that word bored can be a catch-all phrase for, a lot of other feelings and emotions, but the client may not have the language or the vocabulary to explain how they're actually feeling. So bored is just that, catch-all phrase that they can use. I eat when I'm bored. What I would do in that situation for clients, if you feel that they're using that word bored a lot, or they're eating out of boredom, or loneliness would be another word. I mean, loneliness is loneliness, but again, it can also be I'm feeling lonely, but that might be the only word again that they have to describe, just being on their own and alone with their thoughts and just being fearful around that. So using something like the feeling wheel or helping them find other words for their feelings and emotions can be very helpful. A couple of resources that you can download in the description around that you can use with clients. But also clients, it can be a sign of anxiety. So boredom can actually be anxiety, like I'm afraid that something's going to happen, or I'm afraid that a thought is going to come into my head, or a memory, or, that I'm going to actually have to look at my life and what I'm actually doing. So that's, this is quite deep in terms of what you're going to do with clients. You'll often find then that clients, and the people pleasing piece comes into this as well. So example, I give an example here of, meeting a friend on the first Tuesday of every month, so they've got this friend that they meet up on the first Tuesday of every month, even though they don't really have anything in common with this friend anymore. It's a legacy sort of arrangement. It's somebody they used to be close to, or they used to work with, or they used to be friends with in school, but really they don't enjoy it. They don't have any real, feeling or sentiment around this person anymore, but they're very afraid to cancel that arrangement and, let that other person down, or, that other person would then, reject them or be thick with them, or, kind of be annoyed with them or angry with them because they've cancelled their arrangement. So you might have to explore the people pleasing bit as well, where some of the things that the clients are doing as part of their routine are actually obligations that they're afraid to break, even though they're no longer serving the client, they're not serving any purpose for the client, and in fact it may be causing them distress. So for example, if they call into their parents, or their mother 3 times a week, but then actually they find when they come home that that's a trigger for emotion eating or binge eating, they may need to look at that and look at maybe cutting down on the visits to their mum, maybe calling their mum instead of calling in, 3 times a week, and just working on that as well. So there's a lot in this around boundaries, people pleasing, and this high need for control. Now, the other aspect of this that I discuss in the book and thinking about is clients who really struggle with being routine or being routined or organised. And this can often go back to childhood and a need to wanting to feel free or rebellious. So if they were very highly controlled by their parents and very limited in what they could and couldn't do, and the permission that they had to do things spontaneously or have freedom to make their own decisions around what they did, you will find that often, the pendulum swings the other way, and the client finds it really difficult then to stick to a routine or to be organised or commit to anything. So when a client is in that kind of frame of mind, what can actually happen is they miss out on quite a lot because they don't commit to anything, and then they end up committing to nothing, and then nothing happens, and they miss out on what was, they won't commit to doing that with Mary because they're afraid that something else might come along, and then nothing else comes along, but they also didn't agree to meet with Mary, and then they end up doing nothing, and then of course they're bored and they eat in response to that, or they eat in response to the fact that they're missing out, or that, they're socially isolated, or whatever it is. So again, there can be quite a bit to unpack if the client struggles with being routined or organised or committing to arrangements or committing to doing things, or even just making decisions. Decision making is another side of it, but that's not really what we're talking about here today. But again, clients can find it very difficult to make a decision, of course, because they're very afraid that they're going to get it wrong. But really what we're talking about here is whether they have a high need for routine, in which case we have to work with them to develop a bit more flexibility, and also been able to maybe sit with what might happen if they're not scheduled to within an inch of their lives, and what is the fear and what are they afraid of is going to happen if they're just sitting alone by themselves and themselves and their thoughts. Or if it's that they are struggling with having a routine or committing to things or saying yes. And of course, as a result, they end up, inadvertently sort of socially isolating themselves, which is the opposite of what they wanted to have happen, which is they actually didn't want to miss out. But because they try and don't miss out on anything, they actually miss out on everything. So the reflective questions, then you've got reflective questions and actions that the client can take that you can share with the client. So asking the client to ask themselves, am I too inflexible and reliant on my routines? And if the answer is yes, how can I begin to loosen my grip on my time and allow for downtime or for something spontaneous to happen? And then the second question is, am I allergic to the idea of routine or making plans in advance? And how has this worked out for me? Can I put a bit of structure in place that will help me be more productive and less chaotic? And how does this pattern impact my friends and my family? So how is it for their friends and family to be around somebody who's flaky and never commits to anything and can never say yes, and never kind of decide what they're going to do? So is it worth holding on to this, kind of maybe legacy issue of needing to feel free or rebellious, or, I never want to be tied down, or, have that structure, or could they actually make life a little bit easier for themselves by introducing some kind of routine or committing to plans and just being happy that they've committed and going ahead and, doing the thing that they have committed to and not worrying about the fact that they might be missing out on something else, or that they're letting go of control, because of course this may be a legacy issue from the past where they were highly controlled in their family and they weren't able to have that spontaneity or freedom to do what they wanted to do. So a couple of exercises that you can suggest to the clients, is there something new that they want to do? Can they sign up to that class or that activity? Is there something that they can give themselves permission to try and be okay with learning whether it's something that they actually enjoy or not? So again, remembering our polarized client, it's either succeeding or failing. Their client is either succeeding or failing. Actually, we want to open up that doorway to them learning. You have to try something before you know whether you like it or not. You can try badminton and see whether you enjoy it or not. If you don't enjoy it, it's not that you're letting the group down by leaving the group. It's that you've learned that actually badminton isn't your thing and you're not very good at it, and maybe something else would be better for you. Could be furniture restoration, and then you could decide that you absolutely hate restoring furniture, and that's okay too. But our clients very much struggle with that idea of, if I get it wrong, if I leave, that's failing. And actually we really have to open up that door to them, realizing that it's learning. And then if people struggling to commit to things, then obviously the challenge for them is to say yes in at least one situation where they would normally say no. And that can be a very good exercise to set for clients, actually, to say to them to either say no in a situation where they would normally always say yes. So that could be around people pleasing, or boundaries and having better boundaries for themselves. And then the opposite for our I hate routine person is to say yes and commit to the plan when they normally would say no, or I'll see, or I'll get back to you, and see how that works out for them. So I hope you found this helpful. And again, don't forget that you can download the ebook, which has all of the cards in it, your deeper meanings, your reflection questions, and your actions that you can offer to your clients. That's completely free, and the link is down below. Please subscribe to the channel so you get notified whenever I upload a new video, and also feel free to visit our website and subscribe to my newsletter so that you get a ping by email every time I've uploaded one of these videos as well. I really hope that you found this helpful, and of course, even for yourself, do something a little bit spontaneous this week and see how that works out for you. All right, take care for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.